Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it.
Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rui Segura. We should have another good one for you guys, but tonight, behind the scenes, we got Edson Ochoa working the keys, the master of production. I'm joined by Cristian Putalias. Brother, how you been?
Hey, how's it going? Good, man. Good. Just trying to stay warm, but we're doing great. We're doing
Stay
great.
warm for sure. We also have Joey Chavala joining us. Joey, I was gonna say, are you used to the cold? But then I looked at what it was looking over there in Albuquerque, and you guys are like way colder than here. So it's like,
are you really that much colder?
You're used to it, yeah. We're right now. We're about 37 degrees, I believe.
Okay.
That leaves at just an average, I guess, for Houston, and but I think the lows we're gonna hit in the next couple of days is like close to 20 degrees, I think. And I looked up Albuquerque, and you guys are close to 20 degrees already, if not nearing that.
It's definitely getting really cold at night, but I'd say during the day it's not too bad because the sun's out. It's like never cloudy, so you get that like Albuquerque sun beaming on you. So it's like it says it's 25, 30 degrees, but like I'm sweating sometimes.
Yeah, looking at it right now, it says 20 degrees in Albuquerque. Feels like 14. Don't you hate when it says feels like? Just tell me it's 14 degrees. Like, don't tell me it feels like 14 degrees. Is the
That's
worst.
what I was telling Edson. I was like, it's 33 out here, and it feels like 21. I was like, bro, it feels like 4. It's cold.
Yeah, and unlike Albuquerque, here, man, in Southeast Texas, man, we can't handle this type of weather.
Not at all.
As in our infrastructure when it comes to utilities. So we are all kind of praying that the electricity stays, man, because luckily we, having a newer house, like the insulation is nice, but if you have like an older home, the insulation is not as great. So we usually do here in my homestead. Not really worry about having the AC too like crazy low in the summers and too crazy high. But right now, man, it's just get a bunch of blankets. Try to figure that out for sure, dude.
For real.
And I know it's already snowing in your area. I thought I saw Katy and Cypress kind of were getting some snow. Did you get to see any yet, Chris?
Yeah, actually, yeah. We just peeked right now before I sat down, and like we covered all the plants and stuff like that. And all that covering had like ice on top of it, like a little bit of snow.
Bro,
it feels weird. You're like, what is this?
Yeah, no, and the funniest thing to me as well is just the fact that was it Space City weather? Is that what Dustin says to check?
I think that's what it is.
How it talked about, obviously it's been talked about for the last week or so about possible snow and likely snow, and then also kind of warning people not to go and find like a random ditch to like slide down and fall in the water basically. So it's funny that we have to say that because it never really happens over here, dude.
Yeah, I was telling my coworkers, I was like, hey guys, like, if you guys don't feel safe, just call me, don't come into work and stuff like that. And one of my guys was like, bro, I got my skis ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to ski down I-10. I'm like, bro, relax. Like, I got 2 dogs. I got a sled. He's like, it's a Chihuahua, but it will work. I was like, hey, you do what you want to do, bro.
Get yourself like 13 Chihuahuas to pull you like across Beltway 8,
right.
like, hey, turn here, man. That's so funny.
On the overpass on 610.
Yeah. And that's why I always get a kick up because, like, obviously, like, I'm sure, like, northern states and people that are, like, so used to snow, they just, like, laugh at us because we're so dumb when it comes to that.
We have a manager that he's from Chicago, and he's like, yeah, y'all are getting 4 inches. He's like, one time, he was like, I got out of work, and the snow was covering my car. I was like, that's wild. And he was driving down the street, and he was like, it was a tunnel. Like, there was ice all the way higher than the car that he was driving in. I was like, that's too much.
Dude, that's funny to mention that because whenever I was a kid and we lived in apartments, I remember the first time we got like ice on windshields, and you don't know what to do, and like people are stupid enough to put like hot water and like blowing
Oh
up
my
their
God.
windshields. And I do remember that there's like a next door neighbor. They're like from, I think, like from Chicago too, and they had like the fancy scrapers, and it's like, oh, we have like 30, you can take one. It's like, you only have one car now, so feel free. And I was like, yeah, never throw hot water, like stuff like that you don't think about.
You don't, yeah.
You
You
really don't.
don't know. Yeah.
I think Joey's like, it's nothing. I mean, when is like the worst like for you right now, like in Albuquerque, like they're like, okay, yeah, we're not going out.
It doesn't really happen very often. We don't really get snow like that. And the thing with snow here is sometimes it happens, like builds up overnight or in the morning, but again, in the afternoon, the sun's just so beaming that it just melts everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what. Well, I mean, because you guys are like not drier states, but the sun is like out. It's like desert. So.
Yeah, there's not a lot. It's not a cloudy state at all. The sun doesn't go away. Every now and then you get a cloudy day, but it's pretty rare.
That's crazy. It's complete opposite of like Seattle, right? They have no sun.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Hey, but before we go any further, Chris, obviously we hope that the people are enjoying this recorded 9:00 here Central time here in Houston. But tell the people how they can connect with us, man.
Yeah, the website, guys, like always, BayouCitySoccer.net. That's where you're going to find everything and anything that is Houston-related, soccer-related. Mesh those two together, and you're going to find us. So check out the X, check out Blue Sky, check out Instagram, check out Facebook, and the YouTube channel, and that's where you're going to be able to find all the content and everything that we do. And then we're going to be doing some of this. So hopefully you guys are be able to join us. If you want to participate in the fan feud, we'll talk about it a little bit more later on. Just send us a DM or try to get a hold of us, and we're going to include you in there. We have a lot of good questions. I think that PDF, is it a PDF Excel sheet, whatever we call it, has over like 20 questions already. So it's building up, and we are looking for fans that know their stuff. It was fun last week. I think a lot of us were hitting and missing too, so it was kind of fun. So yeah, go to X, go to Blue Sky, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, go to Instagram. What else? Am I missing anything? TikTok, is TikTok back? I don't even know. We don't even have a TikTok.
Unless you downloaded all your contacts, and then it's like, oh,
is it back?
It's back. It is back.
It's back.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
It's one of those magical moments.
We'll see. We'll see if we get on it and we don't get kicked off. But yeah, go to the website. That's where you're gonna find everything. BayouCitySoccer.net. That's where you're gonna find everything. Go check it out.
Yeah, you're. See, Edson says, I hope you didn't uninstall it. That's what I saw. I saw that like you basically won't let you install it if you did uninstall it.
Oh, for real?
I'm one of those guys. I have it. I never used it though. Like never, ever, ever. My wife was having like a melt of breakdown. Like she was just like crying about it, and then now she's addicted to it again even more because now it's back. She took it for granted, a whole 8 hours. It disappeared, and so now she's back at it stronger than ever, man. But yeah, make sure to check all that good stuff out. Edson, I told you I wasn't gonna click stuff, man, but I didn't realize I hadn't downloaded that, and that's why that fan feud popped up. My bad. But you can get it started, man. With the first slide, we'll hit the topics that we have for you guys tonight, starting with the Houston Dash, as we tend to do. It was relatively quiet, I would say, other than the presentation of both the new president of women's soccer and head coach for the Houston Dash. So in reality, it's just a different, big changes, definitely radical changes are happening for the club. What seemed mostly for the Houston Dash, but we'll touch about some of the big things happening around Houston Dynamo as well. But for the Dash, some good takeaways are just the fact that they're really trying to focus on just shifting the culture and mimicking a lot of what the Houston Dynamo have been doing, right? Since I guess since Pat Onstad became the head coach. If you take away 9 months, of Paula Nagamura project and just kind of like, whoops, we messed up. Start over again. Hopefully, this is not the case. Obviously, this time around for the Dash, they're bringing new front office figures that look like they're working well together and are doing a good job of bringing in talented players, obviously from around the league, and disposing a lot of. I don't want to be rude and call them dead weights, but that's a word Joey would use, right, Joey?
Yeah,
Just get rid of
there's
some
still
of
a
those.
few more that need to go.
He's an honest man. He's an
Yeah.
honest.
Absolutely. So, but for what they have right now, it's looking better. Again, we talked last week about just the offseason bringing this optimism and just built a lot of hope. And at the end of the day, I think this is exactly what's happening. So, we don't have any sound from the actual presser. We do have a couple slides, and
On the
I'll
YouTube
get
channel.
Edson to do it. But I was going to mention, if you do want to listen to the entire almost 25-minute presser, you can go to the Bayou City Soccer YouTube channel, which this is probably where you're watching it right now or watching us. So after the fact, if you're interested, man, listen to everything they had to say. But here, President of Women's Soccer, Ms. Magano, mentions I'll read this quote, and Joe, you can get the next one. But it says, "I'm ecstatic to be here right now with you all. I don't think there's any doubt what the responsibility is for both Fabrice and myself being here today. And then part of that is to bring stability to this club so that we can be consistent." I should highlight those because whereas obviously even Edson mentioned a lot, a couple of weeks ago, just bringing some of that consistency and its stability. You know what? And maybe she started following us as well on Twitter. So maybe we saw some of that from Edson's fantastic videos. But it says, in our long-term and short-term goals for this organization, we are bringing a vision to life. I've heard so much about the potential of this club, and I've seen the opportunity in every short period of time. And now it's time for some of that potential to be realized. I'm very excited to be here with you all today and to be joined by Fabrice as our next head coach. So, yeah, I mean, again, the positivity radiates, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah, funny enough, well, I was just thinking about if you can put the quote back again. I'm sorry, I don't want to direct stuff, but it talks about the bringing like the vision to life and potential of this club. And I was just thinking like, well, back, this is what, like 10, 15 years ago when I was still in high school, the women's team in my high school, they were state champs like back to back or something like that. I know they won it one year when I was in high school. But I was just thinking about how big the women's soccer is in like the high school like era, or not era, but in that space. And yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about she's talking obviously about the potential of soccer, right? But I feel like she's talking about like the growth of getting fans in and doing all those things. I know she's head of like bringing in the players, like more of the inside of the pitch type stuff. But I feel like when she talks about potential and stuff like that, it is a great opportunity to be consistent and to have a really good plan to put together and to like make the Dash something worth going to go watch and just enjoying it as a soccer product, I guess I could say. And then just like we always talk about Houston being a great soccer city, and it's also, we can say, it's a great women's soccer city, and if you want to separate both of those, right? But no, I really like the way that she talked and expressed herself. And yeah, keywords right there, right? Stability and consistency, and that's what we need for the Dash. I mean, fourth largest market in just in soccer, or just in people in general, and I think something could be done for the Dash to be fighting up top, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, you got to talk the talk, but you got to definitely walk the walk too.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah, obviously positive, things. What else? You can't really be negative on your presentation for sure, right?
Yeah.
But time will tell how much you can do, and at the end of the day, you think positive. Again, Fabrice Control was also introduced to the media locally in Houston. You can see, his whole interview as well, since they actually spoke together and kind of took time to do one question at a time. But Joe, if you want to read this one or anything you want to add, possibly what you listened.
One thing that has impressed me since coming on board is how much data is used to influence the decisions we make within our roster. Love that. And you've already seen some of those players come in. It's more than just what looks good. There's a lot of detail and data behind that, and that's important, especially in this day and age. The other thing is that if you look at the track record of this league, what you find is sometimes teams could be first and last within a year. Sometimes those margins are very small, and sometimes all you need is a couple different players, maybe a different training environment to just change things. And I'm very excited with the decisions that have been made and with the current roster we have. Some good stuff there. I mean, I love the data-driven stuff. I mean, we've seen out in Europe and then in some MLS clubs lately, these huge data-driven scouting departments are really killing it. So I love that. And we've already seen some good moves. We've seen Yasmin Ryan come in. We've seen Westfall come in. And it kind of goes with what he was saying later in the press conference about the biggest goal is to score more goals and create better service to get a player like Diana Ordonez going. And, he mentioned Westfall and Yasmin Ryan in that, and also Avery Patterson being a huge part of that process as well.
Yeah, one big takeaway was the fact that this guy, Fabrice Gautreau, obviously the new coach, sounds just like Kenny Bundy. I feel like he spoke the same, in the sense of, as you mentioned, Joey, very data-driven, analytical, brain thinking of all the numbers around soccer. It was good. It was something different, obviously something that we didn't really see from the last two coaches that the team brought in, whether it be Lady or Fran Alonso. And this is a young guy. We spoke about the fact that, he's 37 years old, something around there.
Mm-hmm.
And, he has a lot of experience when it comes from the ground, up from all the way to academy and as an assistant. And he definitely has the potential to keep growing and bring a lot of new ideas as well to the club, Chris.
Yeah, I think the key, I think, for me is that he knows the women's game here in the United States. Just having that much experience in his background of, like you said, going from like youth teams in a way to, making it all the way to a head coach of an NWSL team. All that experience that he has and has collected over the years and being part of the league for so long, I think it's going to play really, really well. And then, if we add the part that Joey likes, the whole analytics and actually looking at numbers, bringing in young players, and, how do you combine them with, the maturity and the experience of the older players, I think is going to be the perfect fit. I mean, we saw it on the men's side, right? Using, data and just trying to combine those two things. The youth and the experience and just having a winning mentality, right? That's what they always talk about in the Dynamo side. And hopefully we can see that in the Dash too, right?
Right. I think there's still too many losers in the squad, though. That's my issue. I don't think they got rid of enough players. That's one of my big issues. Like the thing that the Dynamo did so well is they pretty much got rid of the whole team. They got rid of everyone. They kept Steve Clark
players.
They kept Steve Clark. They kept Daniel Steres. They kept Barlow. He was still pretty much a kid at that point. They kept Dorsey, and then everyone else was gone.
Yeah,
and then they just replaced all of them with serial winners. The Dash have brought some good players in. Like we've seen, Delaney Sheehan and Yasmin Ryan have won stuff before, but there's still so many players that are. You start thinking about
the depth of the roster for sure, right? Because okay, you have a good starter, decent starters, and then you look at the bench and you're like, Ryan Garris, damn.
We still have Ryan Garris. We still have like Michelle Losey. We still have.
She's a fan favorite, but she's not producing. But
we still have Chappie, who's just not good anymore. Jalissa Harris isn't good. there's a lot of losers on this squad. It's Belbrita too. What does she offer? It's like let's get rid of some of these people and bring in better players.
Yeah. No,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, with bringing players, the latest one here, the latest one here being another goalkeeper being added, and
Yeah,
slowly but surely, I joked around with you guys, but it's becoming the New Jersey, New York, Houston, Gotham FC team. You know, it's there's three, I think 3 or 4 newcomers from Gotham FC, so not necessarily know exactly was the idea. I mean, again, the pigs that they brought in have been really good. Now, was the idea would bring in another goalkeeper? I don't know. And Houston
competition.
but is she's a fourth behind? Who's behind Hintz?
there's no one. It's just Jane, Hins, and Smith now.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought it was a fourth.
Yeah, but Abby Smith is better than Hins, right? I would
True.
imagine so.
True. You would think. Yeah.
Has Abby Smith she been playing or she a backup?
Oh, she was a backup this last season, but she was the starter in Gotham the year before.
Gotcha.
And she's been in the league for a couple teams, right?
This is her 4th team, I think.
Okay, that's what I was.
City.
Mm-hmm. And she was acquired by trade, I believe, too, for Gotham FC. But again, I mean, the transaction is that Houston acquired the 2-time WSL champion. So I guess she was with who she winning with as well. NC Courage.
I think she's back up on Portland, right?
And NWSL goes or starts late March, right? Or somewhere around there.
They haven't said the schedule yet, but that's what we're thinking. Middle of March, late March.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it's probably still too early to kind of. I wanted to see if maybe next week we can talk about like a potential starting 11, just to kind of get familiar with them names. At least like people like me, right? That we don't know shit about the Dash. But because I'm interested to see what Joey sees, like when he says that some players are losers, or they have the loser mentality in a way. Just to see how this team could start and where the changes could be.
That stuff sticks. You see it a lot of times in all sports. You have a core of players. Even sometimes when there's talent on the team, once they have that stench of losing in a certain city, and they stick around, they continue to be losers until they get another move. Like I love Diana Ordonez. I think she's very talented, but man, she's got to have a short leash. I mean, she was great in North Carolina, but since she's been on the Dash, she's been nothing but a loser. She hasn't been good.
I agree. Yep. And I just add, because Edson's I'm telling you, he's pulling strings back there. So she started her career in 2016 with Boston Breakers.
Did they have balls or whatever there?
The Boston Balls.
The Balls. What is the name of the new
Boston they went team? From Breakers to Balls. So
Boss Nation Balls Boston FC.
Yeah, it's not great. Utah Royals. Then she was on loan with WS Wanderers. That has to be.
That's Australia, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like it. Then she went to Kansas City, then Portland, then Gotham, and now here in Houston, which it looks like Western Sydney. Yep, thanks. It's I mean, definitely a backup. I don't know if she definitely has more games under her belt in comparison to Hinge, but is she better at this point? Possibly.
How old is the starting goalkeeper? I literally just blanked.
31, I believe.
Okay, she's still got some time in her.
She's got time. Okay. Heather's pretty young. She's what, 23?
Yep,
29.
Yeah,
she's 23. So maybe she's got some time to grow into a role before Jane is done. But Jane's not gonna be done for a while.
Nah.
Well, the thing about Jane is that she goes out a lot for like national team, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, sometimes she doesn't even play, but just the fact that she's not there,
Mm-hmm.
I know.
You want somebody that
I would like to develop Hines. I mean, Hines she's a big Bayou City soccer fan, so we'd like her to do well.
For sure. Yeah, so it's interesting for sure on the fact of what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something, but yeah, obviously you're right, Chris. I think eventually we'll be able to kind of go in more full detail because obviously it hasn't been official.
Yeah.
The practice being started. Obviously the Dynamo opened up last week, and some of the Dash players were there, and as an optional. Being back on the field training, which is something actually mentioned during the press conference this past Wednesday. So there's still time. They're trying to still build the roster. Maybe before the season starts, some of those duds are gone. You don't know. You're right. I mean, there's some that you look at the starting lineup and you're like, oh, this is great, and then eventually like one thing that we've seen happen often too with the Dynamo that is like, okay, you look at your bench and I'm like, well, who's gonna come in?
That's true.
Oh yeah. I
That
mean,
has
something
happened.
happens to Delaney Sheehan at this point. Like what is the plan? There is. I mean, you're going to trot out what Sophie Schmidt, Barb, and Belle Brita. Like, what's the plan there? There's no. You have to hope Zoe Matthews has a breakout.
Right. Yeah, and then obviously there's plenty of tournaments coming as well. For like as you mentioned, national duty.
The winger spot's pretty tough too, because if not what's her name? The other new one, Yasmin Ryan. If she gets an injury,
the good Ryan,
I mean,
not the bad Ryan.
You're sticking the bad Ryan in there, or
feels so
Losey,
wrong.
or Amanda West. I mean, Ramona Bachman has been hurt or just on vacation half the time anyway. Isn't she on maternity leave again? Is that
soon? I think she will probably.
Yeah, that's a few months right there. That's crazy. That like those are factors that. Obviously, it's women's soccer, right?
You don't deal with it obviously in a different league, a men's league, but things that you do have to take into account, obviously. Right. And again, that's really going to be what we base a lot of our opinion when it comes to this new front office staff, because clearly the last regime didn't dealt with it correctly, right? They brought in World Cup replacements that ended up going to the World Cup. Like, dude, you did nothing to help your team whatsoever, So you hope that they get it right this time. That, if you're going to bring reinforcements, that they're actually reinforcements, that you're not being forced to bring in players that are going to not be there in the long run. For sure. So anyways, I think that's a lot of dash for this Martin Luther King Day, by the way. It's a lot of people were off today. I know my kids were off, and then they're off for 2 more days. So fantastic for me. Going to go crazy a little longer. But I mean, this segue well into what the Houston Dynamo are going in the what they're working on this offseason. Some good stuff here. Joey, we'll start with Eric Dueñas. We touched on that. Pat Onstad kind of dropping the ball when we had the opportunity to discuss what's happening. But to find out that he was claimed off waivers, pretty good deal there, doesn't it, Joey?
Oh, it's a fantastic deal. This kid's good. He's played a lot of minutes for LAFC, not as much this past season. But in 2023, he played a lot for him, and he was pretty damn good. His defensive numbers were great.
Yeah, obviously homegrown. People may look at it as like, oh my God, 34 appearances. He's 20 years old. I mean, the dude. When we spoke about last episode, just how stacked that midfield is, and for him to even get a few appearances at his age, it's fantastic. Obviously, you 0 goals and people are going to freak out. 2 assists for a midfield. He's not replacing an Hector Herrera or a, Coco Carrasquilla or someone like that in the midfield. But this guy can and is able to play the multiple positions, and the potential and the ceiling is there for him to get better. The contract length, if people, had a question, is just it goes through the 2025 season, and he has a club option each year through 2028. So, I mean, he could be here for quite a long time if he develops into what they're hoping that he can develop.
He could be the type of player that they develop and sell.
Yeah. And sorry, I was reading your message. Yeah, no, and it's fantastic that it's again, it's really you don't lose. You're not. One thing that I forgot to look at was MLSPA. See how much he was making, which I'm thinking is under $100,000 at
He
the
was on a
time.
reserve contract, to my knowledge. Let me look that up.
Yeah, and so obviously when it comes to just salary cap friendly, being a homegrown, it kind of carries over.
He's on 185K.
Damn.
So he's a senior roster spot. So,
but still, I mean,
but he counts as a homegrown, so he goes a supplemental. That's right.
Right, and so he also, I'm thinking he's making more money than Mikael. Poor Mikael, man, that dude is a beast.
Crazy.
And
everybody needs to get paid.
Yeah, Mikael's cap impact's much more though.
Yes, for sure. Do you want to answer that? Do you think
for the Dwayne, does he have
caveat.
potential to start consistently?
Yeah.
Absolutely, he does. I mean, they just opened up 2 spots in the starting 11 in that box midfield out of the 4 midfield spots. So,
where do you think he excels best, Joey? Or where do you think that they'll?
I think as an 8, I think in the type of role that Hector Herrera played, he's a little more defensively disciplined than Herrera, but without obviously the incredible passing that Herrera has, because no one else in MLS outside maybe Puig or Nagby are as anywhere near as good of a passer as Hector Herrera is. But he's pretty confident on the ball. I was digging into some of his film, watching some of his off-ball movement. His interplay with Ilie Sanchez was really nice to see. This kid could play.
And he's a little guy, man. Shout out to the Short Kings, dude. I think
right here.
Yeah, I think we Edson and Joey are boasting about it, but I think we looked it up and I was like, yeah, I just kind of out of curiosity, is he taller than Corey Ash? He's shorter than Corey Ash. Actually, no, he was taller than Corey Ash by an inch. I think if that's correct.
He wasn't Corey Ash 5'4"?
Yeah, I think he was 5'4".
And this guy's like 5'5".
Damn.
Or is the opposite? No. Take that back.
It's the opposite.
He's 5'4" and Corey Ash was 5'5".
Okay.
That's crazy.
So I think he may be the smallest Dynamo player ever. I think. I mean, Corey Ash was quite small as the main starter that you saw, day in and day out.
Is there anyone else that's small? I'm trying to think.
I don't think so. I mean, Wade Barron looked small too.
Tommy Martinez. Was he short? Was that his name?
Thomas Martinez? I think he was probably like 5'10"-ish, if I had to guess.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he was that short.
He seems small.
I don't know. I can't really think.
Wade Barron 5'8".
Wasn't Yair Arboleda pretty short, but I don't think he was that short.
Corey Ash, is 5'5", and then Duenas is 5'4".
Okay.
Damn.
He's 20. I mean, he can still grow.
Yeah, right? He's a young man.
That's what I thought at 20. I've been the same height since I've been like 16. So
it's like I stopped growing at 8. I was a kid in 3rd grade, and then it just stayed.
That was it. Downhill from there.
That's it. But again, he was a great pickup, man. Great pickup for Houston to get Eric Duenas. They did mention another one that Pat Onstad, I guess, gave out, but officially was stated of Bafemi Awandosu from Houston Dynamo 2, getting also a first team contract.
Hey.
With same thing, I guess, contract for this year alone, the 2025 season, and a couple club options for 26 and 27. We have to remember this guy he was drafted, right?
Nope.
No, he was not drafted. He was
tryout.
He was an undrafted free agent.
Yes. Yeah, but he was supposed to be like defender of the year or something like that, right? In college.
He was really good in college, but the big issue that people saw with him is he was really bad playing out of the back, and that's why he just absolutely collapsed in the draft process.
Yeah. Well, and that wasn't the case when he played
shout out Guardiola.
And MLS Next Pro. So his Houston Dynamo 2 career, obviously he only spent 1 season. The big stat there was he almost completed. Well, I was gonna say 1,500 And Joey was like, no, that's not right. So 1,489 passes completed.
That's right.
Led the team. 41 clearances, 2 goals, and 1 assist. This one is a curious to me in the sense of basically came in and replaced Maples, right? He came in and replaced them.
He was better than Maples, I thought.
And that's where I was going with that. It's crazy just to see how quickly, I guess, better develop at a younger age, and obviously he's getting this contract, something that Maples strive for. I believe Maples only got a 1-game contract, I think.
Yeah, he never signed an MLS contract ever.
Yeah, I think he got like for a US Open Cup, I believe.
Yeah, he played against Minnesota in the Cup run.
But now he's a beast at New Mexico United. So
he's a captain, ain't he?
Yeah, he's probably maybe the best player on the team at this point. I mean, he won Player of the Season for New Mexico as the 1-seeded New Mexico United too.
Damn,
that's crazy. Yeah, and so obviously you hope that there's different pathways, right? Obviously, we know the Mikael pathway. They brought him in from abroad. Then you have players that maybe have grown up, which we haven't seen that yet. And that's one question that was asked from Pat. If you guys did listen to the entire interview, that was, you see players like Dueñas getting. Actually, it wasn't even from that interview. It was after the fact. If you went and listened to Glenn Davis interview Pat Onstad last week, Glenn asked, like, you're bringing these younger guys. What does it tell, your academy players that haven't been able to break through? So it's understandable, like the question. We know that Glenn specifically is going to always push for local grown players, but I mean, it's a given, right? If someone's better than you, they're better than you. That's kind of how it goes. Everywhere you go, people want to know who we are. Anyways,
singing the whole song.
Here's the thing with the youth players, though, with the Dynamo. I mean, we saw the youth development was complete shit show for the past over 10 years.
Since the beginning of time.
Thanks, Matt Jordan.
Yeah, pretty much. And since they overhauled a lot of the development, that was only a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Yeah. People understand how long it takes for those changes to actually show effect. We might not see the effects of those changes till 2028, 2029. It takes a long time. Long time for any of that stuff to change. So at this right now, who cares where they're from? If talent's talent. You don't pass up on a talented kid like Dueñas or Brooklyn Reigns, because he also came from Salt Lake.
And I was gonna say it's gonna be hit or miss no matter what, right? Xavier Valdez.
Who cares if they're from Houston? I don't care where they're from. They could be from freaking Malawi. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Shout out to our Malawian listeners.
Shout out.
We have one, no? Is it Malawi? No, it's Wani. It's Wani.
Yeah.
Shout out to that guy.
Yeah. Shout out to him. I forgot his name. He listens all the time. He still
show up.
We're huge there. That's for sure. But no, I totally agree, man. As much as I want for the Juan Castillas, the Palominos to work out, and obviously I'm definitely pushing for maybe like a Diego Gonzalez, right? I think we spoke about the fact that it was very congested at one point in the midfield, and right now, as you mentioned, you lose a couple big name players, but that should open up for.
He's going to get more minutes this year. If you guys could talk about the new rule changes to the rosters for homegrown players, that off-roster homegrown players are now eligible to appear up into 6 MLS matches and have unlimited first-team appearances in cup competitions.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
Right, and we've talked about the fact that there's obviously are more competitions coming up. It seemed like it was going to kind of die down, but obviously you got the MLS regular season. Yeah,
much money to be made, bud.
Yeah, so now so Diego Gonzalez now gets 6 potential opportunities off the bench to show what he could do in MLS. And then unlimited Open Cup starts like that. That's huge stuff. Yeah. Really huge stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it basically tells the young guys is like, hey, we're opening the pathway for you to earn it. Like, go out there and earn it. I mean, when it comes to soccer, it's a merit-based sport, right? I mean, every sport is, right? But like soccer, you see it. Like, if you're good, you stay. If you're not good, I'm sorry, but there's gonna be someone right behind you who's gonna hustle harder to replace you, and that's just the nature of the beast, And I mean, yeah, we're talking about some names. I think Houston, slowly but surely is getting some names out there. We talked about Sebastian Rodriguez and the kid that we just mentioned that I forgot his name. And we talked about Finley Maddox. So that's another name that we were like, where did this kid come from? And he did good in those times. And obviously when they have the college option and, going to college, make sure that, they get a for sure degree, and then you can maybe come back and give it a go again. And you see some guys kind of taking that route, because there's so much competition in soccer, and when they're bringing in younger guys from other markets and stuff like that, obviously it adds more competition. Like Femi, he wasn't from this market. He came in on a tryout, basically on a weekend trip. He said he came with a bag, and then they were like, "Hey, you're staying in the team." And he's like, "Oh shit! Like I wasn't expect. I mean,
yeah.
And look at him now, right? He got a whole contract, and now it's time for him to learn and grow, because he's not going to be the first option of the bench, obviously, right? You have Steres, Bartlow, and maybe somebody else, and then he might be the one to be called up, right?
Yeah.
But you got to be ready. They always say it. I mean, it sounds cliche, right? But you have to be ready for when the opportunity comes. And now, you guys mentioned this opportunity of kind of open availability of some sort of, hey, you get to jump in today, be ready. So, I mean, hopefully, I mean, it seems like a good thing, right? Have these kids be ready at all times, because you never know.
Yeah, and I hope we see some of these kids get a few games or so. I mean, they all have 6 opportunities each. I mean, if Di Morelli or Lampman or Isaac, like any of those guys, even see 2 appearances off the bench.
Sebastian Rodriguez at this point, obviously he's a first team player this year, but we want to see him get some minutes.
He could play as much as they want him to. He could play in 20 games if they want.
Yeah. So it'd be fantastic to see this progressing. Obviously, we've talked about this. I mean, you mentioned the academy, but just the league as a whole it's a younger league in comparison. Obviously, Dynamo hitting 20 years this season or this year. It's just crazy, how far this has kind of transition and progress for sure. Before we go on to the next slide, Jay Hurtado, we talked about you, man. I hope that you are doing good. I know LA has seen some rough times, man, recently. So, we've talked about you guys and try to get all the best vibes as you guys go through everything with the fires and all the disaster over there, man, as we try to push on our own possible disaster here with this weather, in a sense. So we talked about the guys that have come into the roster. Now there's some big names, obviously, that've left this week. We'll start with Coco Carrasquilla. He's Pumas UNAM now. The rumored fee, $3.5 million, supposedly Dynamo club record. Mexican media that did take out that number, and they are pretty dang close to what is in reality the transfer fee is. The only thing is, I thought that Mauro Manotas was like $4 million, and
he was not.
He was not.
So I did some digging because I was trying to figure this out for some Football Manager stuff. His initial fee was $2.75 million. With a bunch of add-ons and a sell-on fee percentage, and add-ons could have added up to $4 million if incentives were hit. And I mean, we all know his time in Mexico so far has not even been close to a hit, so none of those incentives have probably hit.
2 knee hits.
Yeah, 2 big knee injuries. Well, and I guess one thing that was rumored and I didn't add on here was obviously not rumored. I think Asher Mendelssohn was the one that added. Obviously, they got a percentage for a sell-on too. So curious to see what that would be. But obviously, Pumas gets the best player in CONCACAF right now, and it'd be fun to see. I think I'll be tuning in. We're talking in large, Joey. We know that Christian Pulisic is the best player in the world, man.
That reward is such a joke. Hold up, I got to pull that up again. The best CONCACAF player where I saw some of the biggest joke.
Yeah, so
that reward you cannot take seriously.
career with Houston, he had 116 appearances. Here right after the 2021 Gold Cup. This one we do kind of thank Matt. I mean, yeah, Matt, right? Matt Jordan was probably brought him and Teenage Davy. I think those were the
Matt Jordan did something right.
Okay, so the CONCACAF Best Player in the World Award in 2016 went to Brian Ruiz over Keylor Navas, who won the Champions League this year. So
someone was a better Costa Rican there.
That shows the validity of this award.
Hey,
it's a great award.
both of them are pretty good players, though. So.
Hey,
Navas didn't even hit. He didn't even get second. Herving Lozano finished ahead of him in that.
That award got the Dynamo 3.5.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Pat was like, "Hey, look, right. He's like, we're gonna need you to add $1 million to this,
right?
Because we got a little trophy."
Yeah, everybody in Europe was trying to do like 1.5 million, and they're like, "Oh, we got somebody to do 3.5." They actually think. Thanks, Coco. Thanks for winning that award.
Weren't they trying to sell them for like 6-7 in the beginning? Like whenever
I think they were trying to ask for like 8 million. They never said it, but the figure was
never going to happen.
Yeah, it was never going to happen. Then one day, I mean, and again, we've been talking about Coco leaving for like 3 years.
Yeah,
you know, this imaginary, number of 8 to 10 million was never gonna be a thing, and I will be sad, or I would be very disappointed if someone came and asked for like 5 million and they said no, just because they were so stuck on 8 and 10 million.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
He was too old to command that sort of fee.
Yeah. I mean,
you don't see teams in Europe don't splash out $8 million on a player overseas unless they're like 18, 19, 20. Like,
and Brazilian and Argentina had a couple millions to that too.
Yeah, you're not seeing mid-table French league or German league teams go out and spend that kind of money on MLS players. They'll spend bargains. They'll spend $3.5 million on a guy like John Tolkien or whatever, who's 22. But a player that's entering his prime, they're not going to do that because it's not a sure thing. If you're going to spend that much money on a player who's 26, you're going to want someone you know is going to come over into your league and immediately slot into your lineup and do a job. And an MLS player doesn't do that for you.
Yeah, and well, I know we've had this conversation, Joey, too, about it's a lateral move at the end of the day, to an extent. Granted, the club, it's a big club and it's a big city you're going to, where the media is gonna crucify you as soon as it doesn't work out, Chris.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want to.
No. Whatever you want to add. I just saw your finger.
No, because I remember when Brighton bought McAllister. I was like, I remember it was like a low fee. It was 6.9 million euros, and I just remembered. I don't know. I was like, damn, like they bought them for really cheap, and then they sold them to Liverpool for a good amount of cash.
A lot of money. A lot of money.
So I just thought it was funny that it I think 6-7 million euros. It's about $8 or $9 million.
Hey, Edson, I know you're in the background. You probably don't want to talk, but I do want to get, if you're okay with it, I want to hear your thoughts on this move of Coco Carrasquilla to Pumas UNAM as a Liga MX follower. We know that you're eres un felino, but the wrong type of cat here, brother.
And different meow meow.
A different meow meow, for sure, dude. But yeah, no, it's just kind of crazy the way that he went there. In a way, kind of surprised me. Just and we talked about this before. Not necessarily him going to Mexico. It was the fact that Hector Herrera left. Now it's his team, to take over, and it's like, oh, and when as soon as that happened, I felt okay. I'm not gonna say I felt good with that Hector left. I kind of saw the writing on the wall already. I know that Dustin and you, Joey, spoke about that there's probably gonna trigger his option, and I was already with the mindset of like, it's all right if he's leaving, he's leaving. But you have Coco, and then Coco, it's rumored to leave. He obviously leaves now, and I don't know how exactly to feel. I trust the process. I trust what Pat and Asher are doing, but this kind of does change some of that calmness that I had if I take my fan cap into the team. Joey, I don't know your thoughts on that.
There's a few ways you could address this. So we opened the DP spot with Sebas Ferreira's departure. So we have one DP spot left and a U22 initiative spot to fill in. Pat's talked about going and getting a DP in either that 8 position or a more of a attacking midfielder to play in Coco's position. So, wherever you bring that in is a big deal. I think maybe it's just to shake it up a little bit. I think they should maybe go for the more attacking one to play on that right mid spot, or play as a 10 and move Bossy out to the right mid spot.
Yeah,
and then you could either use a U22 initiative spot and as an 8. You could let Brooklyn Reigns cook. You could let Eric Duenas cook in that role. You could give it to either of them. You could move Sebastian Kowalczyk into that type of role if you want to. There's a lot of options, or you could even just bring in another, TAM guy. I know there was some rumors that Brian Acosta was on the short list, and he ended up going to Nashville, I think.
That would have been a good piece.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
But there's so many ways we could trade for another in-league player.
Yeah.
Speaking of Acostas, I think it probably wouldn't happen now, but I think Kellen Acosta would be a really good player to bring in. But that's probably not happening now that Greg's in Chicago and he's Kellen's buddy.
T Sig, which I believe that's one of the guys from Twitter. I think that's Tyler. But now that Coco's time with the Dynamo's done, where does Coco, rank in the best day? It's funny because I actually was going to ask you guys this question because we talked a little bit about this.
It's tough.
Dustin was very high on him. I mean, he was like... Are
we talking talent or impact? Top 5?
Yeah. That's
top 5 is insane.
I believe Dustin, when we spoke, and even Edson was like, what? Like when we were talking about it. And
top 5.
Where would you put him? Where's
talent? Top 5, I guess. But if you're talking about like their impact on the team, I mean, he's not even in top 5 midfielders. I mean, you have Rico Clark, you have Brad Davis, you have Boniek Garcia. Like you have all these guys who won MLS Cup with the Dynamo and were on the team for years and years and years. It's kind of hard to put Coco there. I mean, he won an Open Cup. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't feel like Coco has any memorable moments.
I found it. Dustin said, this is what Dustin said as his top 5. He put Clark, Coco, Brad Davis, Cameron De Rosario would be his top 5 in that order.
For midfielders?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, it was for midfielders.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I mean, that's pretty high. I felt like Hector Herrera belonged in that conversation just as a top player.
I would put Hector Herrera over Coco.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, Coco never had a best 11 season like Hector Herrera was. I mean, he wasn't really in the MVP conversation, but he was in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, he had like one of the
8.
Best
he's never going to win
ever.
MVP, but he should have been in that conversation very, very legitimately. I don't think Coco's ever had a season like that. He's kind of had 4 or 5 seasons in Houston where he's been very good, and he won a trophy, but he never had an absolute elite season like we've seen. Davis had. We've seen Boniek Garcia have some really damn good seasons. Rico Clark, and I go back to even like some of Rico Clark's older seasons, like 2015, I think. Yes, 2015. He scored like 7-8 goals from midfield, and he was fantastic. The team sucks, but he was fantastic.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say obviously a lot of where he excelled was playing with Panama. Obviously, that time happened as a Dynamo player, but I mean, Chris,
2 different people.
We got tired of saying, give the kid a Panamanian shirt under that Dynamo shirt,
bro. Just go something,
and maybe it will spark something different because he struggled, but. Towards the end of this past season, the 2024 season, especially with Herrera getting hurt towards the end and just seeing the way that he was performing, Coco was actually kind of playing better. He looked a little, better on the ball. Obviously, he scored that, Chilena tricycle kick against Austin. It just
I just felt like he was playing out of position the whole entire time. Yeah. And whenever Hector Herrera was out, then he could be his true self in a way. he was more of a central guy, more of a guy that has the ball most of the time. If you had him and Hector Herrera in the same field, Hector Herrera was the guy that controlling the ball.
I just think it was more of I don't think Coco would even excel that much in the 8 position. We didn't see him cook that much when Hector was out.
Yeah,
he was fine. It's more of a stylistic thing. It's a systematic thing. It's like Coco's best attributes is what he could do in transition, carrying the ball through the midfield, making great passes, making the switchable passes. You throw him into a possession team, and he struggles. He struggles in the final third to break teams down. He doesn't.
You kind of
he doesn't always make those deep passes that you need. Yeah, he's not really that creative type of player. He's not a possession-based player, and that's what he struggled with because he was brought into the Dynamo originally to be that transition player, and then they did a complete 180 to a possession-heavy team.
I think he would have been probably a little bit better than where Bassi is right now.
Yeah.
Just that swap, I think he probably could have been a little bit better. Just the final.
Bossy's better than Coco at that.
Yeah, he's
not. I think Bossy's the perfect player for that team. Bossy's a possession player through and through. He's
Coco just
no. Yeah, I'm just obviously a possession game. Yes, I'm saying in the more of a like pass to goal type thing. Like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but just like the last pass to like the striker type thing. Yeah. I think Coco has a better vision of passing than Bassi does.
Yeah,
Bassi can give you a nice short pass, but he can't put a ball in between lines in a way.
Jeff, yeah, you mentioned Rico Clark. That's what we're referring to. I mean, the guy, he was a different type of player. He was a punisher, which you need those guys. I don't really think we have anybody like that. Arthur is more of a.
I love Arthur.
No, yeah, but he's not a punisher. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he's not one. He's a defensive guy. But I'm saying like he's not like Rico Clark wasn't afraid to like take out your legs if need be type of thing. And Arthur is just he has sticky feet. That's what it seems like to me.
He was more box to box than just a pure 6.
But he was tough. Yeah, for sure. Like he was box to box. He could cover as Jeff mentions, covering every blade of grass. Then moving on real fast before we on the comments, two people, Lil Pengu,
Lil Flip,
and Julio Lorea, they both ask about Barlow. If you guys thinking, Joey, we'll let you answer real fast. But it says if you think that Barlow is gonna leave next season.
Why would Barlow leave? He just signed a new contract.
Right. It just lack of playing time. Obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's fine. He just signed a new contract. He doesn't seem like a player who kicks on about playing time much. He knows he's third in the pecking order. He knows Mikhail could be leaving any time now. He knows Eric Sviatchenko can retire anytime now. He knows the deal. He's a perfect player for Ben Olsen's team. I don't see him going anywhere. I don't think the Dynamo would even be okay with letting him go anywhere either.
Yeah, the conversation has been fantastic, man. We're about an hour away. I thought we were 30 minutes in, but Edson, Dago, he was talking obviously about Coco as well. Maybe Ache made him a better midfielder. I don't know. He definitely was. He was good without him. I felt like he was better whenever Hector wasn't in the picture. A lot of the times, especially when he was asked to be pushed back. I mean, we all remember early in the season when Hector was out, with that meniscus injury or whatever. And that dude was finding Aliou, from the center of the field out wide. I mean,
but they weren't playing Coco as an 8 when at the beginning of the season.
He was.
They were playing him out wide still.
No.
They were playing Gregus in the middle.
Possibly, but his better attributes were when he was closer to the midfield in the game, during the game action.
He probably wasn't having the greatest games as for the team, but personally, he was better when Achacha wasn't there.
Yeah. What's it called? Yeah, Edson. You can hit up the big news. Obviously, you put them up there.
There's news. Who do we say?
Ferreira leaving. I mean, giant thing. We all kind of were talking, speculating that it would happen. Would they pull the trigger? You have, everybody and their mama and Facebook. That cat's gonna attack you Chris. He's waiting. He's about to get you in the jugular. This is the last time we see Chris.
If I go down,
but yeah, no, obviously, like people are like, oh man, they haven't done any moves, they haven't done this. I mean, they've been very transparent of like all the issues with the cap that they're experiencing from obviously other transactions that they've done in the past, trying to resurface. And obviously Pat and Asher did too, right? They mentioned about they had to move some stuff around to get them competitive again. But it was huge that Sebastián Ferreira, mutually agreed to contract termination with the Houston Dynamo. Now that there's 2 buyouts, so this one counts against the Dynamo as one. They still have one more. I don't think they'll be using one, at least not right now. Maybe if somebody doesn't work out and they feel like they need to move away from someone else, like Ezequiel Ponce, someone like that. You never know.
No, yeah,
Ibrahim Aliyu. There's players. Cross your fingers, Chris. Cross your fingers. But yeah, obviously, Ferreira had a fantastic first year. Scoring 13, 14 goals. He ends.
Was that fantastic though? I think it's a good year. I don't think
it's a good year, but for how crappy the team was, he was the better. Yeah. One of the better players, and obviously he was pretty high up when it came to the goals in the league on its own. But then we all know what happened. Ben Olsen came into town, and it was never the same. And it looked like they were going to try it out in year 3 for Ferreira, and it just didn't work out. So he got really hit by a nasty hamstring injury, and they couldn't wait. They had to get somebody else, and that's when Ponce comes in the picture. And we asked, Ben Olsen from the get-go, will we see a 4-4-2, 2 striker system? He did try it a few times. It wasn't going to work like that. But
you can't have, sorry to interrupt, but when you play a 4-4-2, you can't have 2 9s.
No, it's difficult.
Unless you're losing 1-0 and there's 10 minutes or 5 minutes left in the game or something like that.
Yeah, and so he ends with a career with 60 appearances in the MLS, 18 goals and 6 assists. It's a little sad to see Ferreira.
R.I.P. Ferreira.
Yeah, Seabrace, as our own Billy Mears had baptized them.
That's wild.
So no more Ferreira in Houston, guys. So again, we not necessarily a ton to touch about. Joey, you mentioned it. Obviously, opens up some stuff that they can do. The team is looking to do two DPs for YPS. So he calls it something different, but
DYPS
and 2 GAM. So obviously, I do expect another DP to be signed. I think they're going to try their hardest to get him in, before the window closes in April.
I'll be surprised.
I think they're going to try. April, it's just odd, right?
Yeah,
but it makes it difficult because obviously if you're buying a player from a different, outside club, which it looks like they're pushing for Europe, whoever this player is, more than even South America, is the fact that it's going to be hard. You're going to have to pay a good amount of money, and you just bought out one player, you just broke a record. I mean, surprises, Ted Siegel, surprises, right?
Boy spending.
And the last slide, because we have plenty of time.
They were up 30% in revenue. So last year from last year to this year or whatever the number is.
And then just this last slide here regarding the Houston Dynamo Houston Dash is that it was announced that they're going to have the 2025 Dynamo season kickoff fan fest. I believe it's February 16, if I'm not mistaken, which is it's a Saturday. Yes,
it's my dad's birthday. No,
it's a Sunday, I think. Anyways, but yeah, fans will get the opportunity to meet some of their favorite Dynamo players and staff. Purchase the season 20 jersey in 2025, and support obviously the Dynamo Dash charities through that club's locker room. So hopefully some people can find some good stuff. I'm sad because I'm gonna miss it 2 years in a row. It seems like every time I'm out of town, that's when it goes down, man. But those are always fun for sure. Chris, sorry, man. I think you were trying to say something from regarding Ferreira,
Yeah, no. I just want to go down on record with us saying if we think we're gonna get that DP before summer, like in this window or summer window, in your personal.
That would be a good poll to throw out there. But I think it gets here before April, like before this window closes. I don't know if they're, because especially having so many competitions they're gonna do, like even Onstead mentioned, by the time you get around the summer, you already play like 20 games, right? And so that's difficult. So I think they're gonna push to sign somebody, here. And one thing that we didn't mention and we saw recently, Latif Blessing, he posted that he was back in Houston. So I'm sure we'll hear something about that. I mean, Joey, you've been in those staff meetings alongside Patty Nasher, apparently.
And that's wild how that happened.
And so, at the end of the day, it was a no-brainer. If it's the guy that they had been talking to after the season ended, they couldn't come into an agreement. It looks like nobody really picked up Blessing. And so, getting half your salary doesn't sound that bad right now when you're getting paid zero. So we'll see exactly kind of how that ends, man. But again, this has been fantastic, man. Great stuff. But we're not done yet. I do want to let you guys know, and Edson's gonna help me out with some slides but this is like you don't eat so late at night. Sorry, man. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, the fan feud that we started last week, man, it's gonna take a new turn. We're not doing it this week. As I mentioned, we're gonna try to do it every 2-3 weeks. But we have a sponsor for it, and I'm excited to let you guys know because Dago, I did see your message about picking up the items that you won, and they're yours, man. No one's gonna take them. I'm not gonna give them to Chris this time, so don't you worry. Don't you worry. But yeah, no. We are proud to say that the fan feud is now Elotes Bravos fan feud. So, and what does this mean for you guys? So we are still planning to give away some swag, maybe some Bayou City Soccer stickers, apart from some either Dynamo or Dash memorabilia, I would say. There's definitely a autograph ball that we're going to be giving away. And as we get some more stuff, man.
We got some jerseys too.
Exactly. We'll get some stuff going, man. I mean, I think there's something about, those, some people call them retro. I
have a Carly Lloyd bobblehead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
there you go. So anyway, so Elotes Bravos, man, it's going to work with us. And the idea here is, apart from all the goodies and the swag, sorry, Dago, this was before you won, so we can't hook you up.
We can try.
But they are gonna give some kind of a voucher to get a complimentary elote en vaso and an agua fresca of the day for whichever game you go to. So that's gonna be an add-on, man. So if you haven't had elotes bravos, they're very good. And yeah, I mean, now I want some medicine, and I'm going to the Valley next month, and I still need to find a good spot, man. But yeah, no, definitely get in here. I will say though that we mentioned, reach out, we'll put you on a list. I do have for sure one name that popped up the other day, so there's already a guy that's going to be in the next fan feud. So we need to find somebody to go against them. So if you're listening to this here live on our YouTube channel or Twitter or wherever you're streaming this, which is probably one of those, or if you're, listening to it tomorrow, and since you got nothing else to do because you can't be really driving around town if all the roads are frozen. But if you listen to this, you see it, send us a message that you're interested. I called out Hooties. Hooties has not messaged me. I want to see how good his his knowledge of the Houston Dynamo and Houston Dash. Come on, guys, we have to learn more about the Dash. So this is the big thing that we're pushing this year. It's the women's soccer as well. So we got to cover it and just learn more about it as me and Chris do our best to try to learn. But yeah, hopefully you guys, again, next week we'll do the first one, I believe, if not next week, the week after that, where you can get a voucher for Lotes Bravos at the stadium. And obviously, it'll be whenever the stadium is back up. So that way you can go watch the Dynamo, watch the Dash, and get yourself some elote and agua fresca. Joey, corn in a cup,
right.
corn in a cup. Where did you like any type of stuff like that?
Never had it.
Never. Oh man, whenever you come to the stadium, man, we're gonna have to get
we
you.
got you.
All right.
And then my question was gonna be to Chris. Favorite agua fresca, or Edson, put it on the chat. Favorite
melon.
agua fresca.
The melon.
Melon.
It's I used to have a friend growing up, not growing up, but in middle school. My favorite, my one of my best friends, he was Mexican, or he is Mexican, and his mom used to make agua de melon like every weekend. Bro, so good.
Yeah, that's cantaloupe, right?
Cantaloupe.
Does
Yeah,
it make it out
so
of?
good.
It is good. This is funny. This is funny because I haven't found it in a while. Actually, what did you put, Edson? You put Jamaica? Oh, Jamaica and tamarindo go hard. It took me a while to realize that Jamaica was hibiscus tea. Someone told me, "Oh, that's hibiscus," and I'm like, "What the hibiscus is wrong with you?" Like, I had no clue what they were talking about.
Me too. But I just found out not too long ago.
Yeah,
and I was like, what the what? I've had it before, but I didn't know what it was.
I think my wife ordered like a hibiscus lemonade at Starbucks, and I told her, I'm like, man, this tastes like Jamaica, and that's that that was a few years back, and I was like, dang, the more you know, right?
You know, huh?
But I was gonna say, and I don't know if you had this, Edson, being that it's, I believe, is very, very Mexican. Agua de mamey. You know what I'm talking about?
Whoa!
Is this fruit? It's delicious, man. And they make ice cream of it. It's so good. It's like it tastes more like a smoothie, and it's very difficult to like. It's definitely like a fruit that is
So is the fruit mamey?
Mamey, yeah. So yeah,
that's the dangerous game you're playing, my friend.
It really is, and it's really good. Edson said I haven't heard of it here. Yeah, I found it at the Mi Tienda. Mi Tienda sells it, Chris. So the one in Pasadena. Is there only one in Pasadena? Is that the only one in Houston?
There's two in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which that's an HEB. So for people that don't know,
it's like the Mexican HEB.
Yeah, and so anyways, they sell it there. They have a stand, and that's the only time that I've had it recently. It's from there. So my man. Oh yeah, Jay Hurtado knows what's up. He says my name is the bomb, bro. It goes hard, dude. Every now and then, if I can find it, you go like a Mexican type of fruteria or ice cream shop, man. If they have mamey, you gotta go with mamey. Yep.
Something adjacent. I guess we're getting into the whole food and stuff. But I went to an ice cream place not too long ago, and I had gansito de marinela in an ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Joey's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, we gotta. It's good. Dude, he's not used to it. He's from New Jersey, and then people from Albuquerque, they're not real Mexican in that sense. Like it's New Mexico, it's not real.
Yeah, it's
Mexico,
New Mexican.
So.
It's not Mexico.
Yeah, so when we have to take you to some of that stuff.
They got chili over there.
Yeah, so that was the news with Fan Feud, man. Hopefully you guys are able to join or want to join, and don't be too nervous. Those questions were easy. Some softballs, man, and people still easy. What year was the Houston Dynamo established? Come on, guys. I felt like the harder ones we went through, Joey, were still kind of easy, but someone, and we did talk about this, about creating one for Joey, and that's what we're gonna do today to finish the show, man. I ended up naming this segment Crush Joey Stats. Isn't that the most beautiful Crush Joey stats you have ever seen? So hey, Joey, your questions are gonna be a little bit more difficult,
okay,
in comparison to what we'll give the Fan Feud players. But so yours are a little bit more difficult, and you do get multiple choice. So
Okay.
We'll see if hopefully you get this one, this first one, you start out right, and maybe create something.
We can do
Yeah.
it backwards. We usually come up with the questions to ask for a fan feud, for Elotes Bravos fan feud.
Right.
What we can do on Crush Joey Stats is have the listeners send in their question.
Oh
and
no,
see if
that's
Joey
the
can get it.
so that's definitely the
That's the
idea,
idea.
right?
Okay,
So
bet.
that's the idea.
No pressure, Joey. No
All
pressure.
right. What are the
Old-
fannies I've created? Because I've created a bunch of questions.
So I got one from and I was gonna say, I mean, the ones I'm hoping that people send the questions like the ones that you wrote on that document, Joey. Old soccer guy, he has sent one in, and I believe we had already talked about it in the other and like the other questions we had, so I didn't want to repeat it. Which was that we'll leave it for somebody else. So I had to come up with one because I wanted to do it today. But here's the question. Let's see if we can crush them. It says 4 Dynamo players made the 2006 MLS All-Star game against Chelsea FC. Which of the following player was not on the team? So you have Brian Ching.
Ching definitely made it.
Ricardo Clark
definitely made it.
D-Row and Stuart Holden.
Between Stu and Rico. I'm gonna say it was Rico who didn't, because Rico wasn't a full-time starter every week.
So before Edson reveals the thing, one thing that I would add that it's not gonna change your answer. You already gave it to us, but originally only 2 of the guys were what's it called, voted in, I suppose, and then 2 of the guys were replacements. Not that it really matters, but I think we got you on the first one, man. Stuart Holden was the guy that was not what's it called, added to the team. The 4th player was Eddie Robinson.
Okay,
so
look at him.
It was Brian Ching and D-Row got in directly, and Clark and Robinson came in.
That's fair.
So it's good, man. I'm gonna bring some good questions.
Bringing up questions from when I was like 6 years old.
I know, right? So I knew that if we were gonna start, we had to start from one of the very.
He was learning how to add, guys.
But everything it's on. He was learning how to walk at 6 years old, man. He was still breastfeeding.
He was the same size he is now.
That's right.
he was still learning.
No, but I think those questions are gonna be good because I'm gonna make you think, especially like the more. If it's gonna be like who scored the most goals, it's gonna have to be like New York seasons for sure and stuff like that. But I was hoping that this one would trick you, and
that was a good one. Yeah, I would say the coin toss between those 2 because Rico didn't start every game towards the end of the season.
But see, as soon as you said like no Brian Ching, no D-Row, I'm like this questions are perfect for Joey because I'm not sure if everybody else was gonna guess that, man.
I guess that was Stu Holden's first year in the league, so maybe I guess it could have been a little.
It was
lower because he was at Sunderland before that, right? Yeah.
Yep. And he had only played like 18 games. So then this is because I searched it this morning. Otherwise, I wouldn't know any of this information.
That's poor on me. I should have.
Joey needed 30 more seconds. And he would have gotten it.
Yeah.
But guys, man, this has been a great show. Chris, man, if you can tell the people how they can connect with us, who to check out for sponsors, and we'll end it there, man.
Yes. The website, guys, is BayouCitySoccer.net. That's where you're going to be finding everything that we do over there. Check it out, man. The season is about to start for both teams and Dynamo Dos, and we're going to be having a lot of content popping up. So go check it out over there. There's great stuff every year, and this year is going to be the best one ever. So go check it out. Check it out on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook. What else? That's it. And you can also go to the YouTube channel if you're on it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. We're trying to get to the 500 subscribers by the end of the season, hopefully. So we're at 408. There's not a lot of we can make it. And and then other than that, go check out uglyguppy.com. They are great. They have anything that you need to get printed: hats, shirts, stickers. I think they do stickers too, and just a bunch of different stuff that you can do. And of course, man, check out Elotes Bravos whenever you go to the stadium, and just check them out. Check out their social medias. Get their location, and go eat some corn.
Yeah.
At BayouCitySoccer.net. Wait, is it? No.
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay.
I know. But guys, man, thanks again for joining us. Don't forget to hold it down, keep it forever orange, and stay warm out there. All right.
For shizzle.
Stay warm. Peace.